Okay, so welcome to Pubmed Basics. Like I said, we're just going to go over some basic features of Pubmed, some interesting tips and tricks we have, and that. So let's get started. Bert, do you mind going over one? Okay, so what is Pubmed? Pubmed is a database that has more than 30 million citations in the fields of biomedicine and health. It's used by millions of people every day. I use it every day. I'm sure Breck uses it every day. It's one of the preliminary databases that we use here at the MCL. And it just covers a wide range of topics, including research, policy, advocacy, education, public health, and clinical care. So yes, you can use PubMed to help yourself familiarize with topics and kind of find some original research and things like that. So let's move on. This is what the new Pubmed interface looks like. A few months, actually it was about a year ago now. Time's been passing, I'm not even sure what's. So this is what the new Pubmed interface looks like. As you can see, it has the advanced search feature. So if you click this advanced button, it will take you to the advanced search. Down underneath the Explorer, we have the mesh database, which Breck is going to cover a little bit later. We have clinical queries here under the find, and then we have the login for the MyNCBI account. Will you move on, please? Thank you. So one of the most important features of PubMed is the find full text feature. So when you're searching for an article and you find one that you really like and that you want to read, we have a button on PubMed that allows you to find the full text, essentially. So it's called the View Now UK button. It's going to be on the right-hand side of the PubMed article page. So it'll be on the very far right-hand side. It'll be kind of a smallish button. So if UK has access to this article, if you click that button, it will either take you straight to the full text of the article, or it will take you to the library catalog page, which you'll have to hit another button. So there's this yellow bar, and then underneath that it says full text available at, and then there should be a link if there is. Full text is not always free, so ensure that you're checking our subscriptions, and that's what I meant by the catalog. If we have access to it, if you click that button, it will pop up and you'll be able to read it. So also there's articles from Pubmed Central. So manuscripts deposited to comply with public access policies, deposit agreements, digitization projects. Those are all the kinds of things you're going to find in Pubmed Central. And if UK has access to it, you will be able to read the full text, as I mentioned. So this is what the button looks like. It's a little bit smaller on the PubMed page, but essentially if we have it and you click this, it will take you there. So many of our databases actually have this button, not just PubMed. So if you're searching in like CINAHL or PsycInfo and you see this button and you click it, it should, as I said, take you to the full text. So this is what I mentioned when I said the library catalog page. The View Now UK will take you to the library catalog, and if underneath that yellow bar it says no full text available, if you scroll down underneath to our additional services, you'll see that we have requests for interlibrary loan. So what interlibrary loan does, if you've never used it before, it's essentially our ILL department putting out feelers, seeing who has the article, and they normally will send them the PDF. They'll take that PDF and then send it to you. It can take a few days up to 2 weeks, depending on where they're pulling the article from. But if we don't have access to full text, the next step would be to request an interlibrary loan, which instructions on how to do that are on our homepage. Okay, so now we're going to cover basic searching in PubMed. We're going to go over 3 basic things. So we're going to look at finding original research, author searching, and then Breck is going to take over when we subject and topic searching. So let's move on. Breck, do you mind advancing? Thank you. So let's say you're reading an article in NPR and it references this research by this researcher, Stephen Lazarus, who's a pulmonologist at UC San Francisco. So you want to read this reference. You want to go find this Lazarus article and figure out kind of where to find that. If you, as you can see up above, so it says Stephen Lazarus here, and then up above, it talks about the research and how it's in the recent issue of the New England Journal of Medicine. So these are pieces of information you're going to have to collect if you want to find the specific article that they're referencing. So let's say you're going now to find the article. You go to PubMed, and these are the things that you're going to want to type in. You're going to want to type in the last name of the author, the institution, affiliation, or journal. So we have Lazarus NEJM, which is the abbreviation PubMed uses for New England Journal of Medicine. And then we have the year that the research was published. So if you're looking for this article specifically, you're going to want to type these kinds of things in. And then you'll hit search. And then when you do that, the articles that meet those criterion are going to essentially populate in PubMed. So as you can see, there are two, both from the New England Journal of Medicine from 2019, but we have one specifically that is found by citation matching, which just means that it met all and or most of the criteria that you typed in your search. So the one that you would want to click in this instance would be this citation matched article, because it does have the Lazarus last name alongside the other criteria that you listed, unlike this first one. So if you click into that on the next slide, this is what the article will look like when you click into it. So as you can see, there's quite a few features here. You have Stephen Lazarus's name, you have the View Now UK full text links. So you would want to click the bottom one. The other ones might work, but your best bet is to always click the bottom link. And then we also have some affiliations. Oh, sorry. We have affiliations, which I'll get into in a minute, but importantly to note is you have this PMID underneath the affiliations. This is the unique identifier for articles in PubMed. So if you wanted to come back to this article, you could copy down the PubMed ID and not have to know any other information about it, and just search this and it will pull up only this article, which is really good to know. And then we have the DOI, and then underneath we have some advanced, not really advanced, but additional library extend plugin extensions that you can download on your browser, which I will put the link in after my portion is done on how to download these, because if you have these on here, essentially it will just pull up the PDF full text in a separate tab. So this is a really good tool to have, but that's what that looks like. Okay, and then we can go next. So we have these interactive tools with these links. I'll put the links in the chat once I'm finished, but essentially these are tutorials we created that kind of define even more into the PubMed search page. So this one goes over citation management. So how, if you find some articles you like and you want to send them to your EndNote library, this would teach you how to do that. We have talks about the limiter, so the date limit, text availability, which we don't really recommend you use because it's not going to pull all of the articles that UK has access to. And then it has like article type and other filters that you can use, which we'll go into detail there. And then we have information on the display option. So do you want to view your article in summary or abstract format? Do you want to sort it by best match or most recent? And then how many do you want to see per page? So that's this tutorial, and then I'll put the link in the chat later, but do you want to move on for me? Thank you. And then next, I kind of went over this already, but this is the abstract view. So this is what you see when you click into an article, and we have an interactive tutorial for this as well. So let's say that you had a question about, after this session, about like the DOI or the PubMed ID or something like that. You can go to this link and click these plus buttons and it will tell you more. So we have information on the title, authors, PubMed ID, abstract, similar articles, which is a great feature, cite, share, and full text. Okay, and then the next kind of basic searching that I'm going to cover is author searching, which can actually be very difficult to do. Multiple authors may publish under the same name. They could also be under different institutions, have different affiliations. So what we suggest is you start with the last name and the initials. So the example here is Collins FS. You don't need to do anything extra. You can just kind of type it in, leave it uncapitalized, no punctuation necessary. And then we do not suggest using author full names because it may miss articles where there are only initials. So if this man or this woman's name is Collins Stephen or something like that, and you typed in Stephen Collins, you might not get the accurate Collins and you might miss the FS publications. So this is what it would look like if you typed it into PubMed. We're going to move on. Awesome, thanks. So as you can see, there's over 651 articles published by someone Collins FS. So this might not be the same person. The way to get around this is if on the next slide, it's called, this is the checking affiliations. So this one, Francis S. Collins is the part of the National Institute of Health. So if you expand this and see that this person is from NIH, you might be able to assume that they're the same author, but there's another way to do this, which we'll go over in the next slide, which is computed author sorting, which is kind of like an interesting name for a fairly simple search. So it identifies other articles written by the same author. So in theory, it should pull all of the articles written by this author. It uses an algorithm and it's normally, if it's able, tied to the ORCID ID, and it puts the most likely matches first. So obviously you're gonna have to troubleshoot and check to make sure that all of those articles are written by the same person. But in theory, the top matches should be the same author. In the next slide, this shows you how to do that. So we have this image here that has Francis S. Collins. If you were just to click this name, which is why it's highlighted in blue, it will take you to a search that has all of the Francis S. Collins listed in a manner that's supposed to keep the same person together. So it will search for articles with the same author name. And then at the top, like I said, it should be the same author, but of course you're going to have to double check that. So on the next slide, this is what it would look like if you did the computer author sort. So there are still 651 results, but the top articles are the ones most likely to be from Collins. So this is just a really great way to ensure that if you're looking for articles written by the same author, that you're getting the best match and that you're not making any errors in your search and things like that. So that concludes the basic part. Breck is going to take over for the advanced portion, where we're going to get into a little bit more detail on how to do searching in Pubmed.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the subject and topic searching before we really get into the more advanced stuff. But another common use for PubMed is trying to search for articles on a specific topic. That could be a topic that you don't know much about and you need to familiarize yourself with, or maybe you're doing a deeper dive into a particular topic. So PubMed has a few features. When you put them together, it makes it easy for you to just type in what you're looking for into the search box and get back the results you need. One of the new priorities in PubMed is something we call the best match. The idea is sort of similar to some other search engines like Google. Based on analytics and usage statistics, it's clear that the overwhelming majority of users only look at the first few results of their search, and so hardly anyone goes past the first page of the search results. So one of the new goals of PubMed is to make sure the best, most relevant and current research shows up right at the top. On top of this, the PubMed search engine has been developed to take simple queries and translate them into more elaborate, comprehensive searches. The goal is that you can just type in what you're looking for and PubMed will make sure that you get what you need. Additionally, PubMed has some tools specifically designed to let you do a broad search and to then further refine your search to focus on just the results that you need. With all that going on in the background, we can just type our search topic into the search box and click search. So here, I'm going to search for acid reflux in the PubMed search box. When I do that, I don't need to worry about punctuation, capitalization, or any Boolean operators. I don't even need to know the proper scientific name for acid reflux. I can just put it in to the search box and click search. That basic search gave us over 37,000 search results. Now, because we have a good number of results, we can take this opportunity to take a longer look at some of the features on the search results page. In the center of the page, we have our list of results. As before, we're just seeing a summary of each result, which includes some key information about each article. That's the article title, citation info, which includes the PubMed ID. And then there's the article type tags, as we saw before, for randomized control trial, review, clinical trial, etc. Those are displayed when they're applicable. And a portion of the abstract is shown with your search terms highlighted. Notice that there are some words here that were highlighted even though we didn't search for them. And we'll get to why that is here in a minute. So each result has a cite button. This is one of the more specific advanced features that we're getting to now. And it's underneath the checkmark box next to the article title. And here I have the red arrow pointing to it. So the cite feature lets you grab a properly formatted citation in either AMA, APA, MLA, or NLM citation formats. And you can copy and paste those, or you can download them to your computer to be imported into a citation management software like EndNote. And that's what the download.nbib button is for. Next is the save button. So if you want to save multiple citations to your computer, you can use the save button at the top of your page. You can mark the citations you want to save by clicking the check boxes next to them. Those are the blue boxes with the check marks next to the titles. And you can then download those citations into a variety of formats, including text, CSV, or even just the PubMed ID document numbers. And you can also opt to download the entire page of results at once or just your result set, though this can result in some very large files, as you'll see on this slide. And if you do save all your results, it's important to know that only your first 10,000 results will be saved. So if you're doing a really comprehensive search and you're trying to export over 10,000 articles, you'll need to find workarounds for that, since it'll only save the first 10,000 results. You can also email your results rather than downloading them. And when you email them, you have the option to send them to yourself or to somebody else. And the email button is at the top of the page next to the save button. There's also a red arrow pointing to that. Keep in mind though, this will only email the first 200 citations of your results. So you're better off using this option for smaller searches. And Kayla pointed them out earlier, but there's also all these filters on the left side of your search results page. And these are a great way to narrow your search results. The first one is the year filter, and there's a grabber bar where you can drag to set your beginning and end dates. Alternatively, you can search by publication date, and that's a little bit different from the results by year. So 1 or 5 or 10 years ago is a moving target from the current date. So if you do a 1-year filter from today's date, and you do that again in 6 months, you'll get different results because of that moving target. So if you're looking at a specific range, you would probably want to use results by year. But filtering by publication date would be appropriate if you're looking for the most recent results. So it depends on what you're looking for. And then there's also the text availability filter. Kayla also covered why we don't generally use that, because sometimes it'll limit stuff that you would get if you use the View Now UK button, but it wouldn't show that if you use that filter. And you can also filter by article type. Most articles are tagged with an article type, and you can only view results from that specific article type when you use that filter. However, not all articles are tagged that way, so you might miss some stuff that could have been relevant if you filtered by that. And those are just some of the filters that you can use. Those are the ones that are there by default, but you can find more filters by clicking the Additional Filters button below the publication date filters. And now onto the Advanced Search Builder. You can get to this by clicking the Advanced link under the PubMed search box, and there's an arrow pointing to that. The Advanced Search page allows you to search specific fields and build more complex searches. So you can select which field you want to use by clicking the drop-down box where it says All Fields. And one way you can use the Advanced Search is to find articles from a specific journal, even if you're not sure the journal's exact name. So if you wanted to do that, you would use the field selector, change it from all fields to journal, and then start typing the name of the journal. The auto-suggest feature will suggest journal names that exist in the database, and you can choose the one that you want. For example, I was trying to find the New England Journal of Medicine, so I selected journal from the dropdown and then started typing New England, and before I even got the full second word typed out, it suggested New England Journal of Medicine as the first option. And then you can click Add and then run your search. So another field that we commonly use is the title abstract field, and that'll return search results if your keywords are in the title or abstract parts of the article citation. And you can see that here. If you're looking for a phrase and you want to see if it's contained in any articles in PubMed, you can find out how many times it appears by clicking Show Index. So I typed in acid reflux and then hit the Show Index button, and I could see then that it appeared over 2,500 times inside of PubMed. So now on to automatic term mapping. While the Advanced Search Builder can be useful, the really important thing on the page is the History and Search Details section down at the bottom. And the History section keeps track of the searches you've run and lets you jump back to the results for any of those searches. And below that is the Details. So if you hit the drop-down arrow under Details, that'll show what's below where it says search acid reflux. You'll get everything in those parentheses where it's expanded out. And the search details shows you how PubMed is interpreting your search using the automatic term mapping. So for our acid reflux example, you can see that PubMed is actually searching for the term gastroesophageal reflux. What this means is that even if we don't know the medical term for acid reflux, if we don't know that it's actually gastroesophageal reflux, PubMed knows what we're searching for, and will search for any citations with that term. And then it ORs more terms until finally PubMed searches for the original search string we entered, which is acid reflux. And this is why on the search results page in the abstract snippets, we saw acid reflux bolded, but we also saw gastroesophageal reflux bolded. And those snippets are search terms that appear in bold. And our search terms include acid reflux, which we typed in, but also include gastroesophageal reflux thanks to automatic term mapping. Okay, so here's another example that might get you results that you didn't intend on when you did the basic search. So while PubMed is searching for minorities or minority groups, when you did a basic search for minority, you probably didn't mean for it to search for minors or minor, which you can see on the last line of the search details. So if something like this happens, the automatic term mapping is probably the reason why. And if you do get a search like this that ends up including terms that you didn't intend on, you can reach out to us at the Medical Center Library, and we'll help you to build a better search if you run into problems like this. So mesh is something that people don't really know about unless they come to a presentation or ask us directly for help, but it stands for medical subject headings. And we're not going to get too in-depth into it today. We have other tutorials that go more in-depth into mesh, but PubMed provides the most comprehensive database of subject headings. So this is a really great place to start your search just because it has so many subject headings. And if you're trying to create a really sensitive search, it's really great to use your mesh terms. On the previous page, if you had looked at the search details, you could see where it said minority groups bracket mesh terms. And that's what it'll look like when they appear in your search. So just doing basic searches does actually search mesh too, thanks to the automatic term mapping. And under the Explore column on the PubMed homepage, that's where you can find the link to the mesh database. And so this is what it looks like when you find a term in the mesh database. In this case, I searched for cancer and the first result was neoplasms. So I went to the term page for that. If you're wanting to search mesh terms, so the arrow points to the term in bold and then right below it is a definition of what the term is. I highly recommend reading the definitions. Just because we define a term a certain way doesn't mean that's also how the database defines it. So you should always remember to read the definition when you're searching in mesh. And when you scroll down past the definition on the term page, you'll find other entry terms that can be used to describe that mesh term. So cancer, tumor, other variations of neoplasm, those are all different terms that you can use for neoplasms. So it's a great place to start when you're building your search. And underneath the entry terms, you'll find a tree structure of mesh terms with broader and narrower terms from the one you're looking at. And so we had typed in neoplasms. So that one is what is bolded. And then the narrower terms are to the right of it. And then the broader terms are to the left. But for now, what you need to know is that mesh has a hierarchy of terms. And if you want to know more about mesh, you can contact us or watch the advanced PubMed searching tutorial if you want to learn more about mesh and how all that works. Another feature that you might be interested in is the create alert feature. So this is also found below the PubMed search bar next to the advanced search feature. And using this, you can save a search and PubMed will automatically email you new results for your search query as they become available. You'll name your search, paste your terms into the next box, and then set up your frequency and email format options for your saved search alert. Now, in order to create alerts, you need a free My NCBI account, and you can do that at the top right corner of your screen. There will be a box that says login, where ours says 123 ABC. We were using a dummy account for that. If you don't have a My NCBI account, we encourage you to get one because in addition to letting you create alerts, you can also access additional customization options for PubMed, and it lets you save larger collections of citations to share with other people. And then also if your email function isn't working within PubMed, if you log in with your My NCBI account, it'll let you email to yourself and other people too. So this was our presentation on the basics of PubMed, but we do have additional tutorial videos and previous workshop recordings that we've made for more specific needs. If you want to find out more about retrieving full text articles in PubMed and using the View Now UK button, we have a video for that. The advanced PubMed searching video goes more in depth into covering medical subject headings and showing how to use the advanced search builder. And we also have new PubMed for systematic reviews, where we show you how to build a systematic review search within PubMed. And this builds a lot on the skills from the advanced PubMed searching video. And lastly, time-saving tips and tricks introduces some quicker ways to gain access to articles within PubMed and shows what you can do with a My NCBI account. And once I close the presentation out, I'm going to post these links in the chat. And so now we've come to the question and answer portion of the presentation. So I'm going to go ahead and close out the slideshow. And if you guys have any questions, you can either unmute or type them in the chat.